Well, guys, you know who this is? It's Juan O'Savin. And yes, he has made a commitment to come down to the Quantum Summit, the Junior Quantum Summit, which we held inside stayingalivewith2es.com, stayingalivewith2es.com. And the energy inside the room is going to be paramount because there's going to be over 120, 130 people in there, and the tickets are still moving. So, Juanito, it was amazing to hear that you finally decided to come, and then you made it official by saying, "Hey, here is the tracking number. I'm sending you a bunch of books, which about 6 or 7 of them are already accounted for, by the way. They're sold. And so the books have not gotten there yet. I guess you're drinking some iced tea there.
Yes.
Yes, very cool. But everybody's in anticipation to meeting you. You don't make that many public appearances, man. You're gonna have some specific information for the stage that we're gonna say for the stage. I think you and Sheila are gonna share the stage at some point. Sheila Holmes, she's also gonna be there. And we're going to do some Q&A from the crowd. They're going to send in their questions, very short and sweet and right to the point questions, not long-winded questions. And I'm sure that Sheila and Juanito will be more than happy to answer them. Brother, welcome to the Mel Carmine Show. Always a pleasure.
Well, I apologize. My voice, I've been talking endlessly here in DC. And I talked last night for about 5 or 6 hours and then all day today. And my voice kind of took a leave of absence somewhere in here. So I apologize.
Okay. You better take a rest between now and Quantum Summit, huh?
Yeah, well, no, I've got, I'm going to take one of my convertibles. I had the top down all day. My voice is better because I had the top down.
Uh-huh.
I've got to take it uh, uh, about 1,000 or 1,200 miles, I think. And then I've got my Vegas thing here on the Bond Gate stuff. We got about 100 people coming in on that. And that's all private stuff for the public. They're in Vegas. And, attorneys and accountants and federal investigators and everything. It'll be quite a thing. And of course, I think you're coming out. It'll be. In fact, I just today had another person who's um, tied into a family that many of the people in this audience would know as a legal advisor, and they understand kind of the stuff that's going on, and they are now concerned too. It's getting more and more traction. People are beginning to understand just how serious the situation is. And I told my chief of staff the other day, we'll look at possible dates, but this is something that the public should be aware of. And so we may do a conference that would allow maybe 500 people to be added and hear the same speakers and maybe a few more. My concern was this meeting we have in Vegas, and you'll see when we get there, Mel. The intent was to make sure that we know, what do we actually know? What do we think we know that we might not know enough on? And where's this really going? And um, kind of a conclave to get our, minds around everything going on here. And as I've had more and more experts coming together, looking at the bond situation, I have yet to have anybody say, you're um, out of line, or this isn't accurate, or it's not the emergency that we think it is. And so this is kind of working through the details, and we'll bring more people in later. I just didn't want to do something for the public where maybe we're misunderstanding, maybe we're not getting something here. How could this get missed all this time and now become the crisis that it is with nobody addressing it? So, but I'm more and more comfortable that this is exactly as stated, a very, very serious situation. And we need more uh, minds around it to try and head off as much of it as we can. So anyway, that's
Well,
routine. You'll see it.
I'm really honored to be invited to your meeting as well. I'll be flying out on the 24th. early in the morning. I'll be there for the meeting in full. I come to the meeting on the 25th, and I jump on a midnight flight back to Orlando. But tell me, enlighten me, please, if you will. I hear the key. I keep hearing this word bond, and we're having this secret meeting with a few select people. I don't even know how I got into that circle, but I'm honored to be there. I can't
Well,
wait to see.
because you're talking with the public.
I
You
am.
have you and so I don't need everybody, but I need a handful of you that can hear what you hear and then help your audience. And from firsthand, not third or fourth hand knowledge. You're going to hear it right from the experts in these fields with where they're at. The guy that is our first guy up has a case before the Texas Supreme Court right now.
Hmm.
That he's going to be doing oral arguments on any day. And then if he doesn't get where he's got to get to on the first one, he has two more in succession coming up in the following months. And they're even more advanced than the one that was first one up. This is a very, very serious situation. Uh, Jamie Dimon over at Morgan, he said that he doesn't know if it's 6 months or 5 years, but this is going to be, horrendous. And he said that about 8 months ago. Okay, we're coming up on something dire, and I think some of the people involved have always intended that this was the escape clause for them and a lot of the mischief that's going on. And the comparison that most everybody uses is 2008. If 2008 was bad for anybody in your audience, this is 10 times worse. And if you remember, President Bush came out and told the public in the fall of 2008 that had they not stepped into the world financial system to stop the hemorrhaging, that within 24 hours, the world financial markets would cease to exist. There wouldn't be anything to work with to save the day. Uh, we're in that kind of a scenario. It's very, very, very serious.
I hear the urgency in your voice, but I keep hearing this word bond. And there's different aspects of bonds. Does this in any way have to do with the bonds of because we're coming out with the movie, we're gonna have a shrink down version of the movie for the audience when you get there on the 28th. Otherwise, the movie's 2 hours long. Everybody's going to get a link to the full movie that's attending, but the actual version, boiled down version, can be 45 minutes. And it's got to do with everybody's been traded on the open market. Well, all these illegal bullshit scams that this government has pulled off since the beginning of time here. Does that have to do anything with that at all, or is there something different about different kinds of bonds that I'm not aware of?
Well, these are public bonds. It's all through the bond market, but
Hmm.
especially in the public schools.
Okay.
Um, and about 84% of the tax obligation for property taxes
Hmm.
across the country are tied to school bonds.
Okay.
And so the other types of bonds, say a water district or improvement development, road improvement, a stadium project, things like that, that's 15% or so of the remainder of the bonds. And they generate revenue from sales of water, uh, you know, ticket sales at a stadium, things like that. So they have a way of being serviced. School bonds are tied to property primarily, almost exclusively. And what's been happening is they've been ripping off everybody. Here, my supervisor. A second, I got to tell her that I'm busy. She's calling me. Oh, let's see. There we go. Um, Jennifer was trying to get through. I apologize. Jennifer was trying to get to
No
me.
worries. Jennifer is
Um,
your wife?
yeah,
She's the supervisor. Oh, yeah.
yeah, you got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can't get away with much with that kind of supervision.
Absolutely.
So.
It's probably the
Anyway,
best supervision you and I have had in a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I told her to call, and then she called, and now she's like, "Well, you told me to call." So it started to rain here. Let me move under
Hmm.
cover. Um, beautiful, beautiful day here out on the East
Yes.
Coast. I had the top
Yes.
down all day, and it was so enjoyable. Even this morning, I just turned the heater on, had the top down. It was just so pleasant, you know.
Nice. So
But
are you driving down or are you flying down to Cape Canaveral?
oh, I don't know. We talked about. I have a couple of my cars up there in South Carolina, and if one of them's done, I may drive one of those down, but we'll see. Um, so I would love to. I'd love to put the top down. Of course, these women, they don't want their hair to get blown around, so they put something on it. It's got to be hot out. No, myself, I don't care. Just that's why God invented heaters. Okay, not the Chicago heaters. I don't want the Chicago heaters. Okay, I want the ones that keep you warm, not ventilated. So
Exactly. Exactly.
anyway.
So, it was touch and go. You weren't so sure that you could make it. You said, "Hey, I got to be down there around that time anyway." And then all of a sudden, boom, out of the blue, you decided to come to the Quantum Summit, the Junior Quantum Summit. What made you decide, or what changed that made you to be able to make that decision a valid situation?
Well, I've got other stuff going on down there. I've got several people working on the um, book and manuscript for one of the highest ranking intelligence officers ever to do the business
Mm-hmm.
from one of our enemies, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
literally the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And from work that I and others did, several decades ago, but have permission now to put that out there, and it's very near to a whole bunch of stuff that everybody here is going to want to know about. So I need to spend time um, vetting that through and finishing it. And uh, we actually have two competing groups that would like to do the TV series and the movie on it. So it's very wild stuff. But that's a conversation for another day. We're working on it, and hasn't been, you know, uh, cheap. But you're trying to weed down decades and decades of work to something concise enough and detailed enough that it warrants people looking at it. So, uh, yeah, it'll be really fun. I'll look forward to when they can,
Is this
you
a
know.
TV series for regular television, or is this going to be for Netflix or Prime, something like that?
Oh, it depends on who ends up wanting to ante up and buy it. It's just like Roseanne has hers in editing right now. She's editing her show that she just filmed, and there's two different groups um, debating, through the numbers and all that. And even though they're almost done with the editing, uh, they haven't agreed to the sale yet. They want the right numbers, and there's a lot of things go with it. Once you get it done, in her case, they have enough material for a 6-part or an 8-part, and so with the editing, they're trying to weed it down, and then that affects advertising. It affects all the other stuff. So and then what they want to include. Not hers is so cutting edge. As she said, it's the next wave of comedy moving forward. So, and Randy Quaid is the boyfriend in this TV series. It's epic. Um, in this case, this is far more. It probably. Uh, uh, similar to Narco, the series that was there on Netflix.
I love that
Uh,
series.
yeah, that would be a candidate, and then the other one is uh, person who's done TV and film series in the military vein for a couple of decades. Very, very well known person, and they're very serious. And in fact, I think he's driving up from Miami to uh, meet with us there right after your summit. So you know it's going to be there with some of the writers. So uh, very interesting stuff.
Great. Now, you had mentioned about a gentleman right down the street from me that you never mentioned his name, obviously, for obvious reasons, but he's a mover and shaker, and he's somebody that I should meet, etc. Is he, by chance, going to be in the audience?
No, I won't have anybody else there for this, but uh, you know, I don't do very many public appearances. It's fairly rare. I enjoy it, but I just don't have the time. Um, and because I know that people would like to know all the details of everything that's going on, but the reality is we're just so packed on critical things. Um, uh, I'm out here today to do a fundraiser for a great, great gal who's running for U.S. Senate, and uh, so we have that tonight, and then I'm rolling again at 4 in the morning, and be tied up for the next couple of days before the summit in Vegas. So, in every meeting today, the meetings I had today were just so critically important to everybody in the audience here on a particular matter. So, there's no free time to go out and just hang out in a rally or a conference like that. So,
100%. 100%. So I see you're hanging around. Are you like renting this place you're at there in DC? I see
oh no,
a
these are
dog.
these are yeah, these are very good friends
Oh,
that have a nice, wonderful location to get a little bit of respite and take a breather. And uh, so, yeah.
so you're on business, official business down in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Well, let me tell you, my friend. I know Sheila is excited to be on stage with you. I just got done doing a show with her about maybe an hour and 20 minutes ago, and I just sent her a clip. I sent her so it was actually very quick. It was like a 20-minute announcement that she's coming. She's bringing her books, et cetera, et cetera. She hangs out though. She's been with Trump regarding her book and the Panama Canal. What do you know about that?
Well, I mean, what's important is knowing the history legally so that you can address some of these issues. And a
Mm,
lot of the people around Trump has pointed it out himself. Um, where some of the lawyers and the people advising him, they're there because they have the right credentials and all that. They do not have an understanding of the history. And so much of the legalities goes to the history. Even what I'm doing right now regarding this person who uh, defected, essentially, understanding from his work what was going on against the United States has a lot to do with the way that our history evolved. And once you understand what the objectives were by the other side and how they were doing it, it makes you look at history in a completely different way than maybe what the Western media wants to say, or even some of the people trying to write the history for us. And I think it will affect our views on a lot of the history and even the leaders who knew a lot of this stuff but didn't act or react in ways that I think are appropriate to protect the American people. So it'll be a conversation. So
interesting. On a scale from 1 to 10, I know you got a lot of important stuff that you want to discuss on stage, stuff that's literally earth shattering. Like you said, Jamie Dimon says it could be 6 months or 5 years and we're going to go through some serious times that are 10 times worse than what happened in 2007, 2008. And hence the reason why 2009, the Bitcoin had to come out, didn't work, and then we had to fix it with the XRP, right? But anyway, needless to say, how important on a scale from 1 to 10 do you think it would be for someone to be at this particular meeting based on where we are in current events on this crazy planet?
Well, I I think it's a lot of uh, fun. It's enjoyable to be at something like this. I don't know that I'll be able to give anything that somebody is going to be able to act on, go make $1 trillion on, or something like that.
Right.
It's valuable. It's, if you got a question, I'll be glad to answer it. I don't want to overstate anything, but it's uh, getting together and having a little bit of a conclave, sharing some information, getting some feedback. I tell folks all the time that some of the most enjoyable times during the course of my week is talking with people out of the audience, or people from that have bought stuff, over at Jen's site, or at the Gumroad site. And in fact, I had one of them that was a uh, CBSO, I think is what they call it, that handles the bond stuff for schools. And they have to be certified, and they have to have certain licensing and training and history and all that. And we were discussing the stuff that we're going to do at this event in Vegas, and what the attorneys will be talking about that are involved in this. And he had all sorts of insights that were so crucial and so helpful. And and that's part of what this is all about, is getting more folks with the right expertise and history together, so we can see, you know, what are we getting? What are we missing? Uh, you know, uh, and you got to get together sometimes. And a lot of times I'll do something like this, and some of the best contacts that I'll get, I really benefit, because I'll get contacts that turn out to be very knowledgeable in some specific area that is, helps for everybody, and where I can, share a piece of information. I'll tell you one thing that's going on right now that's absolutely crucial, and it'll sound out of step at first, but I don't believe it is. Uh, I've had my friend Cameron Waters, who he's vegan, and he's talked about a lot of different things in various audience. He did a movie, Christspiracy. Uh, he believes that the scriptures actually point out and make it, to his mind, pretty clear that Christ was a vegan. So it's certainly open to discussion. Of course, Paul talks about, a time when they're going to tell people that, you know, who've lost their way don't eat meat, stuff like that. So it's a conversation. But Cameron is no lightweight. He's a very serious, raised as a pastor's kid, fantastic person. One of my favorite go-to people, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Excruciatingly knowledgeable about the red heifer stuff, and starting the sacrifices again in Jerusalem and all that. But as a side note, many of your listeners may be watching what just happened up in Wisconsin, where a bunch of folks went in and raided a puppy breeding factory. And the reason this was so important, this location has been shut down legally, but reopened numerous times. They're a breeding farm. They are breeding multiple things, but especially these beagle dogs. And they use them for animal testing, for human products, and things like that.
Terrible.
Some of the stuff that they do, live vivisections, they've been caught. There's people documented it, like in a James O'Keefe kind of a way, hundreds of times. They go in and damage them and then watch the wounds repair. They blind them with cutting the eyes and watch the wounds repair with the different things. No anesthesia, nothing. Okay.
Wow.
And it's just a horror.
Brutal. That's
He he went in fact, the gal he went in with is was the co-star with Pam Anderson on Baywatch. Another just beautiful human person, cares. They took, their risks legally, went in and rescued a bunch of these puppies. They tried to get out of there every way they could. Cops show up, helicopters, satellites, the whole schmear, trying to catch all these people, taking off every direction with them. His story, and I put you on with him. You should do a show right now. He can tell it better than I can, but he got away with 2 beagle puppies. And the reason he did, Elon ought to listen to this. They had a Tesla. And the Tesla, of course, there's no motor in it in the classic sense. The cops stopped him, searched the car. They didn't open the hood because they weren't thinking about, Tesla. That's a trunk. They call it a frunk. It's in the front, it's a trunk, but it's a frunk.
interesting.
They had 2
Okay.
puppies in the frunk, and the cops didn't look there. And because they didn't find any of the puppies from the farm, they let him go. So he didn't get arrested. And they got away with 2 of the puppies. So
Definitely hook me up with this person that you mentioned.
Cameron is a great guy. And of course, when you're talking health stuff and all that, in fact, we got a note over to, uh, certain other people that are doing this from the health side in the administration.
Mhm.
And I think this is a very, very, Maha and make America healthy again. We've got all sorts of stop orders for animal testing like that and a lot of this stuff, but they continue to do it. And by the way, a lot of this work that was done at this location was also for Fauci and friends with some of the
Doesn't
stuff.
shock me.
So this is it's something that's just atrocious and not it's a primeval. We have lots of ways. I have one of my guys up at Johns Hopkins
Yeah.
that's developed a fantastic methodology that's 1,000 times more efficient than animal testing to look at any of these products. They do it with stuff grown in petri dishes, essentially. They can test like 4,600 different uh, modus operandis for reactions like that in an area size probably about this table right here.
Hmm.
These little droplets. It's amazing, and uh, it's way more efficient than any animal testing thing. There's no need to
Well,
do it.
I'm an animal lover. I just sent you, as a matter of fact, a video of 2 manatees swimming in my backyard.
I saw it. That's cute.
Yeah, living on a canal. That dog that was in the picture in the frame at the end of that short video is a dog that was abandoned on the streets of Costa Rica. I would take all of them in if I could. You understand? So when you talk about dogs, those are off limits for me. So anybody who's doing testing on dogs, they should have a first class ticket to hell. But with the option of being tortured for 6 months for their crimes against humanity and animals who are defenseless.
Well, part of the problem is from a legal standpoint and a political standpoint. What the hell is going on in Wisconsin? They've been dealing with this for years now, and they keep finding ways to keep going, keep going, keep going. They've been ordered to stop by July, but they're still going like they're going to go for the next 20 years. It's
Wow.
it's just a horror.
Wow.
So please get Cameron on. Whatever you think of Cameron's views on other stuff,
That's all right.
this subject is so critical. He talks about it so well. And by the way, the rest of the stuff that he's done,
Yeah.
he's one of the most advanced and knowledgeable presenters on this subject that's out there. I think better than anyone else I've ever
Where's
talked
he
to.
located?
He's out of Georgia, but you know, uh, Jen and I were out at the premiere of the movie Christspiracy out in Los Angeles a couple of years ago with him, and in fact, it's funny. Uh, so somebody had an olive pit that didn't get taken out of the salad that I had, and I busted a tooth. I'm talking with my buddy Patrick Byrne, same day, other side of the planet, and he busts his tooth, the same exact tooth, on an olive pit.
That's funny.
It was a funny thing.
Yeah.
And then we're both working through the issues, because I had to have it split totally right down to the bone. I was so busy I couldn't deal with it for about 3 weeks, and then we stopped everything we were doing for a few days and had to have it operated on because it was pretty serious the way it broke.
Yeah.
And Patrick had the same issue, so I'm getting operated on in Hawaii. He's getting operated on in Dubai.
Well, you guys can afford the dentist here. I built relationships with dentists in Costa Rica, and I go to Costa Rica and I save about 75% on average. And they do great work, and they studied here in Miami, so they're great dentists. They do the same
I'm
thing.
very familiar with Costa Rica. In fact, I was on the board of a medical company years ago, and we had several of the doctors who left the U.S. and went to Costa Rica to practice because of and they were taking in less money, but their insurance was radically less, their overall costs, and they were very adamant that the quality of the treatment they were able to provide as doctors
100%.
was radically higher in Costa Rica.
100%.
And so they were taking insurance claims where people were going to go in the hospital here in the U.S. and offering the exact same treatment to people in Costa Rica. They come down, they stay there, they get them housing, the whole schmear. The insurance companies would pay for it,
everything,
and do the treatments in Costa Rica. So, very competitive in that way. The only thing I would add, that's exactly what Trump is trying to work through to make it so that they can practice here. They didn't go to Costa Rica because they didn't like the United States. And in fact, there's other things. As much as I enjoy Costa Rica, I'd still rather be here in the U.S. They still want to be
Me
here.
too.
Everything else. I love Costa Rica, but we want to make America able to compete again.
Yes.
And get rid of a lot of this bullshit that's made it so people can't
Agreed.
operate here, work here. So,
Agreed. When you're talking, $7,000 for a freaking, a root canal and an implant, that's crazy. 8,000. That separates the men from the boys very, very quickly. And even though I can afford to do that, I'm very frugal with my money. I still calculate. I say even if I go down there, I'm still, even with my air trip, and I got friends of mine that I could stay with, etc. I'm still saving 65%.
Yep.
It's a lot.
That's a fact.
That's a lot of money.
Yep. Yep.
So, but anyway, guys, QFS1776.com. We don't have a lot of tickets left. I'm going to tell you right now. Since we've made the announcement, and now Sheila Holmes is going to be on stage with Juanito, tickets have started to speed up. Normally, they speed up anyway towards the end, but now this is like adding fuel to the fire. If you want to reserve your ticket, you're sort of like on the fence, don't waste any time. Pull that trigger. Do it now, because I'm telling you right now, if we're still talking about having seats available next Wednesday, I'll be shocked. Okay, Wednesday, Thursday next week, I think we're going to be done. There's going to be no more tickets. A few of your books are already, reserved, so that's going over flawlessly.
Well,
now,
I just sent 30 books, I think, down to his office.
Yeah, 30 or 35, right?
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Yeah. So
office do that. But the only reason I say that, if somebody's got a book and it's not already signed by me, buy a book, come on in and I'll sign it.
Yeah. Some people are going to come in with their books for sure.
I enjoy visiting with folks, and so when I do a book signing, it's more of a we just spend time talking, and so pretty much every time. It's like the line out the door and around the block, and it takes quite a while to, because
Yeah.
I enjoy time with people. I don't just race them through something. I'll sign several pages and we'll talk, and the crowd is right there at the table. I'll have a good
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
it's not, it's not a classic book signing. Oh, here, you can get screw
Yeah,
on.
no. One thing I'll tell you about Juanito, and I've got the pleasure to meet you in person, and I'm going to do it again here in a couple of days. I'll be in Vegas. He is a people's person. He loves to be around people. He's genuine. He's sincere. There's nothing phoniness about him. There's a reason why he talks the way he talks, and we've gotten into that. And some of you people have apologized, so thank you for that. Do you understand now that he's not allowed to talk the way normal people talk? Okay, and so if you can't figure out and the elevator can't get upstairs and you don't have the intelligence to be able to understand, my suggestion first thing, stop using Colgate toothpaste and Scope mouthwash, okay? And drink fluorinated water. Get rid of those three things right away, and maybe in 6 months we could revisit that. Maybe one more of those drinks will make get rid of that raspy voice.
It has helped a little bit. It's got a little bit of lemon in there too, scotch and a little lemon. But yeah, I guess I got too animated with a couple of the Treasury folks and yelled too much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Look, I understand what your position is, even though I'm speculating because you're not exactly telling everybody what your role is and what you're doing here, etc. Some people yell and scream and say that you're JFK Jr. I think you and I have had that conversation in private a couple of times.
let me just add this. I've never ever once ever
Mhm.
said that I was a junior. Never
I know
once.
that.
In fact, every time I did a show with Robert David Steele, he'd start out not JFK Jr. There's something there that I don't discuss, and those people will drive that out into the public or something. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
some of the stuff
Hey,
doesn't shine somewhere. We'll visit that, but the reality is, um, it took on a life of its own, and it didn't matter how many times I said something. It just went further. Now, uh, again, there's something there that we'll discuss at some point,
yeah,
but not
listen, I
today.
wanted to talk to you about something that's really, really, really sensitive, and I gotta really think of how to sort of engineer the words because it's a very sensitive topic. A very dear friend of mine who's a let's just say she's inherited a substantial amount of money. She's an oil baron. Okay, the family has oil wells in Houston, Texas, and California, etc. She's
Hmm.
also she's also one of my biggest clients for XRP. She's got quite a bit, and she was involved with Peter Thiel, and I won't even mention her name on the air because it's really that dangerous. Long story short, somebody tried to kill her. That somebody we found out that is somebody on the inside CIA because she went out and got the toxology report on her hair. The guy was trying to poison her. Was living with her for 3 years. I mean, this would make a best-selling novel. Long story short, she's now had to hire a couple of bodyguards. She's got black helicopters flying over her head. She's taking videos of it, etc. She yesterday or day before yesterday they found the bomb underneath the car, literally. And we don't know how to shake the shake her tail, so to speak, and tell these people that she's never going to talk, even though she has sensitive information. And she hung out with people like Peter Thiel and Dalio, et cetera, et cetera. And she worked for IBM. She worked in very, very, very high places. So I was wondering if there's anything that we could do maybe to try and defuse that entire situation. She's ready and willing, to move to another country and never talk about it. She's never talked about it. She's confided in me publicly with no cameras on, no cell phones, nothing electronic, but sensitive, very sensitive stuff that will literally, if we were to release this information, we'll probably get hundreds of millions of views, but it would also cost her life. But that's why I always say I got a big fat stomach, and it's not all food in there. There's a lot of very, very amazing secrets. But anyway, long story short, if we could talk about that in private, maybe we could figure out how to shake that situation loose to where she could sort of be free again.
Well, I mean, we can certainly talk. I mean, there's where there's a will, there's a way. And certainly, if something's escalating like that, uh, let's see what can be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
I mean,
Very cool. Well,
I've dealt with some of the biggest whistleblowers on the planet, and
yeah,
there's most of the time they're better off uh, somewhere in the public light and
correct.
the battle to the other side. There's a handful of situations where maybe there's another route that you have to go, but uh, it's probably a conversation.
Gotcha. Well, definitely we can have that conversation in private. We'll have to put the phones in a Faraday bag in another room. Um, and we'll see
No,
what
we just
happens.
put the top down on the Bentley or
There
whatever.
you
And,
go. Yeah, but then the
over a
hair's gonna
hundred,
get messed up. I don't worry about
over
stuff like that.
over 100, man, the wind noise starts to pick up. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, it's actually amazing. These cars, especially the European cars, less so the American, they engineer around not getting wind noise in the car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So uh, today I was in my BMW. I have a little 630i, and with the top down, you can talk on the phone on the hands free, and you do not hear that wind noise. It's stunning.
I
And
know.
yeah, the same in the Bentleys. They that wind noise in there. They've got it down. I've got a little 600 SL. Same thing, all that. You'll hear the engine once in a while, but man, you can talk in that sucker going down the road 70 miles an hour, and you don't hear the wind noise the other side. Is better. I have harder time talking on my cell phone, just in a crowded room than I do going down the road 70 miles an hour at the top down.
Well, you
And
got to
so,
get something for your $150,000 car, right?
well, I wouldn't spend that personally. I prefer the classics. I prefer, I don't. I hate getting these things where you then take some monstrous hit in the depreciation.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I enjoy. Most of my stuff is classics.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I bought one a few weeks ago. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, the guy that's got it sitting in his yard is going to be here at our thing tonight, and it's so amazing. It's so amazing. People would just die. The
Yeah.
car, the car is a 41 convertible. I won't say what kind, and it sat. The guy had a diabetic incident in '54. Put it in the garage, and it stayed in the garage from 1954 till they discovered it was in the garage. The house went to his brother because the guy died single and no heirs. Went to his brother, and the brother had his kids living in the house for several years and had just locked up the garage. They had stuff all over the car that this guy had all over it. The one kid who, when his dad died, he was handling the estate, and they went in to start, sorting stuff out and getting the garage sorted out. He had lived in the house off and on for 10 years, didn't even know
Wow.
there was a car in there.
Wow.
And so as they're pulling stuff out, hey, look. And then I bought it without a title and just figured I'd have to work through it. As they're cleaning out the house, they find the title. So I've got the
Wow.
original title. But the car hadn't seen sunlight, had not seen sunlight since 1954. And then
Wow.
one of the funniest things about it is it's such an adventure. It had uh, one of the things, the guy had to be a hot rodder. He had all sorts of hot rod books and magazines, even though he couldn't drive anymore. And I bought some of those. And but uh, they didn't know how to open the hood. I bought the car. They never opened the hood. They just, sitting down on the ground, the tires all out of air. I think one tire still had air in it. And so uh, they opened up the hood. I wasn't there. They figured out how to open up the hood because I had to have a tow. Tow truck driver opens up the hood, takes a picture. The the optimum technology from 1947, all the guys coming back from the war and like that, had come up with a particular addition to this straight eight engine. It's a inline eight cylinder. It was the high technology car of the day,
Wow.
and uh, they had a Typhoon supercharger uh, add-on to the car that came out in 47. It was only around for about a year.
Wow.
And it's all painted orange, put on the top end of this engine. It
Wow.
was the craziest thing.
Well, you
And,
play on a different level. I mean, I'm not even close to your league, but I was out of boredom when I was in Costa Rica. I did build a dune buggy. I'll share the screen here for the audience. And I mean, it was a labor of love, but that labor of love because of the taxes, which are exuberant, and the shipping and all of that ended up costing me about $52,000.
oh,
And yeah, but it was beautiful. I mean, look at that thing. Isn't that thing gorgeous?
oh, yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like Lamborghini orange. I mean, that thing. We found the best painters. The mechanic that I finally got to this car knew how meticulous I was and was so deadly afraid that he wouldn't do such a great job. We finally got an engine block from the United States and we rebuilt it the proper way. And you would swear it was 1969 all over again because that thing purred like it was 1969 because that's the year it was. And let me tell you, he said I took the engine apart and put it back together with the torque wrenches. I did it according to factory 9 times.
Mm. Well, I will tell you, for people, just an aside, yeah, girls, you don't have to stick around. Although some of the women mechanics are actually pretty good.
Oh
I
yeah,
actually worked on one of my cars the other day that did a great job.
yeah,
Way better than probably the guys would have done.
yeah.
When you're in the VW Porsche realm,
Uh-huh.
I had a friend. Um, he was the head of the Brazilian Volkswagen factory. He was like the plant
Right,
manager
right.
from like 65 or 6 to like 75 or something.
Hmm.
80 came to the U.S. because the mobs down there were going after him because he wouldn't go for a thing they wanted to do in the plant
Right,
and
right.
it was corrupt. But he always said, and I agree with him based on my own experience, that the very best year for Volkswagen and Porsche was 67 to 69, and 69 was the capper. Now, in American cars, it's generally considered to be up to 71.
Right.
After 71, you still had a couple good ones, 72, 73, but the insurance stuff and all that had started doing
Oh
the
yeah.
factory, starting to go down.
Oh yeah.
But so 67 to 69, when I'm looking at Porsche or VW, I always kind of slow down and look a little closer on them there. I had a 57 VW with a split window in the back. And then 58, they went to the one piece
Uh-huh.
window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but that was a great car. That had a Porsche motor in it. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it was so fun.
Yeah,
So
we
they
went
do.
all the way on this one. We put the air the oil filter was state of the art. We put an extra coolant for the oil filter to keep the car really cool. That car purred, man. That thing. I had a $7,000 stereo system in that thing that was from Italy called Hertz, Hertz, and it hurts your wallet too, because it's not cheap. But it
Yep.
was it sounded like a symphony orchestra in your dune buggy, which is not too bad.
Yep. Yep.
But
Very familiar with Hertz.
yeah, yeah.
So
But my friend, it's always a pleasure. I can't wait to see you. I know your audience is waiting for you in anticipation. We're gonna have a great time. Hopefully, you get to hang out and maybe have some dinner afterwards after the event. You and I, maybe Larry Ballard and a couple of guys will go off somewhere and have a nice private dinner.
Super. Look
That'll
forward
be
to it.
great. Fantastic. Thank
All
you for
right.
coming. Always a pleasure, my friend. The 27th, guys. I don't know if he's going to make it the 27th. The 27th going to be at the Twisted
I
Tides.
doubt I'll be there on the 20. Let's see, it's 27th. That's this Friday. Yeah, I don't think I'll
Right.
make it there Friday, but I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
27th, we're going to be at the Twisted Tides in Cocoa Beach, karaoke. Sheila Holmes is going to be at the Twisted Tides, and she wants to do karaoke. So hey,
I've actually seen her do karaoke before. So,
she's good, right? I heard.
and by the way, 'cause Sheila and I have known each other for quite a long time, but we also had a lot of contacts in common all the way back to the 70s. So, we've been in
Yeah.
the same rooms for a very long time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good, brother. Hey, brother, I look forward to seeing you. Give me a buzz later. If you want to do one more before the actual show, that would not be a bad idea. But your books are already going flying off the shelf.
All right. Beautiful.
Thank
Well,
you,
and
guys. Get this out
but,
everywhere. Tell them that Juanito is going to be in Cape Canaveral on the 28th and the 29th, and he'll be
well, don't
signing the
try to
books.
launch me, please. I'm not wanting to go anywhere that day. So, all right. All right,
Thank you.
folks. All right.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.